Ladies and gentlemen, this was a longer coffee break, but the longer the break, the longer the amusement, the longer the fun. We will have fun again this evening. So take your time to grab your seats, fasten your seatbelt. We are actually pretty much on schedule, give or take a few minutes. So this hasn't been possible. This couldn't be possible without the team that has organized and it's on the ground making sure everything is okay. And they are the ladies and gentlemen that are on that side of the auditorium. So thank you very much, guys. You have been great and you have been making sure that everything is running smoothly. So, while we are getting into the room again, I have an important announcement, but we are not that many here. I will repeat the announcement anyway, just before lunch. Lunch will be next door on the next ballroom. Just you go out of this ballroom, walk 10 meters, and it's the next room right next to this one. So we don't have to leave this area to go to lunch. We don't have to go to hotel to go and have lunch. So we will have lunch here, not in this room, but on the next one. Okay? So that's an important thing. So you to know. I will repeat this announcement anyway, just before our lunch. So without further ado, let me introduce the gentleman that will take over the stage until lunchtime. And I'm going to put my swimming suits, go to a swim, and return for lunch. And Doug Hucker, he's the CEO of the ICA. He was the one with the team preparing this Congress. So this is smooth, and it has been going well due to himself and his team. And Douglas has been involved in the gem and jewelry industry for many decades. He was even a GIE instructor in his early days, and he was also CEO of the American Gem Trade Association, the AGTA. And actually, we met in Tucson during the AGTA show many years ago. So ladies and gentlemen, a big welcome to the CEO of the ICA, Doug Hucker. The stage is yours, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
You need microphones. Welcome to the stage. Welcome. Bem-vindo. Welcome. Bem-vindo. I'm off the hook now.
I don't normally love panel discussions, but what I do like about panel discussions is that you can sit down rather than getting up. So a lot of this Congress, obviously, and our industry in general is concerned with sustainability. And we're going to talk about that today. And it's going to be a little more of a hands-on thing because while many times we talk about sustainability in terms of abstract concepts, global movements and things like that, we'd like to take this panel to talk to some people who are involved in sustainability issues on a day-to-day basis. I'd like to start by introducing Johanna Levy, who is the Vice President of ESG for GIA. Johanna. And a very dear friend and almost sister to me, Miriam Mimo Kamal Kaplan, who is the founder and president of Mimo Gem Traders in Kenya and Los Angeles and London. I don't know how many joint offices you have. Jean-Luc Maya with Fiora. He's the director of marketing, and I'm sure he has other hats he has to wear. And most of you have seen on the stage already and probably know Brian Cook, who is a local Brazilian miner and someone who's very dedicated and very involved in the whole question of sustainability. And so that we don't just wander around without any direction here, we put together some questions that we would like to have our panel discuss. We're going to go through those questions, and you're welcome to ask questions of the panel at any time, but I am going to work to make sure that we have a significant amount of time after the panelists have spoken, so that we can answer questions from you. So if I may, the first I need to do is get my eyes out. I don't really need these, but my wife says it makes me look more intelligent if I put them on. So the first question, and I think it's a good question, and it begs many of the other questions, is I would like to direct this question starting out to Johanna. Are jewelry consumers really interested in sustainability practices?
Thank you. I love this question because it's really the key of everything, isn't it? So yes, they are. Research says that younger generations, 45% of 18 to 39-year-old asked their jeweler about sustainability, versus 34% of the older generation. So even so it's just 45%, it's not the majority just yet. There is a big increase compared to generation. And what we have to keep in mind is two things may be preventing customers from really getting into the sustainability of jewelry. One is that you don't buy jewelry every day, but you buy milk every day, and you buy butter, and you wear your clothes every day. So there is not the same focus on sustainability for 1 year purchase or a 2 purchase a year versus something that you buy daily. So that's one. We have to acknowledge that. That's what the research says. Second, customers don't really know how complex the supply chain is, especially the colored stone supply chain. There is this naivete where they think that their jeweler has full knowledge and full transparency. And I can give you an example. I came from the fragrance industry. I've been doing sustainability for a long time. And 10 years ago, I remember a very renowned global group asking me, well, do you work with farmers? No, of course not. I was working for a flavor and fragrance company, and we were manufacturing, but we were buying commodities very remotely from the first stage of the supply chain. And so even in large group, a couple of years ago, there was still this idea that the supply chain was tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, really, but rarely, mostly tier 1, tier 2. And so imagine what customers may be thinking. They have no idea that sometimes it's 10th tier. So when they don't know, and I recall what Wim said, not knowing is not an excuse, but still they have no idea how complex it is, and therefore they're not really attuned to asking more sustainability questions.
Thank you, Johanna. Gianluca, you obviously have a significant size company that markets a very particular product, and I'm sure you've done research and you have some valuable things to tell us about what your research tells us about what the consumer, what the clients are looking for.
Yes. So we, as a mining company, of course, we're not facing jewelry buyers, but we interact a lot with the brands who are selling to the customers. And what we notice is that new customers and current customers are very interested in sustainability. They are over-informed on one side and under-educated on the other side. So the level of questions that they're asking is fairly confused. And even the salespeople that work in boutiques, and to that we also check regularly about what their knowledge is, are very confused, and they are not at ease at all when selling colored gemstones. So they try to brag a little bit about sustainability, about responsible mining, ethical mining, but the message that they are delivering is not consistent and doesn't really answer the questions of a consumer that, as we said, is interested, but he doesn't know exactly about what. So I think that we have an amazing opportunity as a mining company, because we are really sitting at the beginning of the supply chain, but then collaborating and working with the whole supply chain to inform and educate. And I think that that's really the great opportunity that relies on the whole industry. So I wish, and I think, and I hope that as a group, we can really work towards increasing the education that will enable us to have customers that ask the right questions. And it doesn't mean the questions that we want them to ask, but the right questions to ensure that they buy responsible jewelry and sustainable jewelry.
Okay, Brian, Mimo, you both are very involved in projects that are involved with beneficiation sustainability. Can you talk about your customers, how much you share that with your customers? Is it important as dealers to tell that to people? Does it help your business?
Good morning, everybody. I am so glad, even before I answer your question, Doug, I would like to appreciate and recognize our president of ICA, Damien Cody, our CEO, Doug Hacker, our former president, Clement, and the whole board of ICA for making this Congress come to pass, and especially for Marcelo and his beautiful wife for welcoming us into their own country. Thank you very much. We are really feeling at home and you are liking this place. And without forgetting also, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Evan Kaplan, my companion and my mentor and my husband, for making it happen for me to be sitting here and speaking to these great people about the projects which you are doing. So yes, I would like to talk about, or I can answer you by saying what we have done with our Kamtonga project. Our customers are really, really proud. Anybody who comes to see and to recognize what you have done, they want to be identified with this project. And that for us is such a great plus. So they want, because they have seen the success of this great Kamtonga project. If I can just mention what Kamtonga project is, it is Kamtonga, I can say just a little bit about Kamtonga, is a small village in Kenya, Africa, where it is a gate pass of majority of where the minerals and all the gemstones are coming from in this southern part in Taita Taveta County in Kenya. So anybody who is coming to get gemstones, mining, dealing, buying, they have to go through this Kamtonga village. This is where we are talking about the Kamtonga, and this is what it's all about. So whenever our customers and whenever everybody who have an interest of doing geology comes in, they have to go through this. And it is so well strategic that nobody can miss it. So seeing this project, they really want to be identified with it.
Thank you, Mimo. Brian?
What was the question? Just kidding. All right. Yes, when I'm at a trade show or at a conference, speaking about the work we do in the quartz, rutilated quartz mining area of Bahia, everyone loves to hear about it. They want to hear about it. This goes back to what we've been talking about, how we need to supply the information, the stories about where the stone comes from. The fact that you can actually do something to help the community at any level, that is part of the story that this younger generation and a lot of us want to hear. So yes, it does increase, people look for me now that they know who I am and have heard about our projects. Yeah, they show up, they come to our booth, AGTA, we show at AGTA. We also created our own little fair amongst a small number of dealers. We call it the Ethical Gem Fair in Tucson, and we do 5 shows around the country. But I'm going to change the word ethical. As I explained yesterday, I don't really like to use that word. We'll have to come up with another. But yes, people seek it out. And it's not just talking about the good things you're doing, it's talking about the culture, the people, the land. It's very important. I do get positive reaction from being able to tell those stories.
Thank you. You know, it goes without saying that the reason we're talking about these issues is because we've all recognized the fact that our own generation, and certainly the coming generation, this is on their minds. These people that you see in front of you are working on a daily basis, actually involved in these sustainability issues and programs, and it's easier for them to respond. What I would suggest to you is that you'll hear a lot of good things that can help you with talking points and issues while you're here. All of these seminars are going to be on YouTube, available through ICA website afterwards. So if you'd like to update your staff on the talking points of ESG or ASM or sustainability, those are going to be available on website. And in the meantime, specific questions, how you can do it, we're going to gain more insight from the panel here.
Can I add something?
Absolutely not. You've good.
No, that's good news. I'm really happy because I've heard so many things that I want to share with my clients and other folks. That's good news. What I wanted to say is, if you want to learn more about how sustainability works, pick a project and get involved. Pick something that you like, something that you can be personally related to, and you'll see how it becomes a very good part of your life.
Excellent point that we're going to cover more when we get into the Gyms Keep Giving panel. I'd like to talk to Mimo and Gianluca about this next question, and then any input from the rest of the panel. But we know that when you're developing these programs of sustainability in particular community, it's important to develop them in such a way that they have sustainability, they have a life, they have a future, and that often requires getting buy-in and cooperation from the community members so that it's not an outside entity or person coming in to do something, but we're actually taking the community and getting them engaged, getting them to see the benefits. So if you guys could speak a little bit about how you work with the community in Camtaga, and Gianluca, where you work, whoever feels comfortable jumping into that.
For me, it's actually very easy because the first thing which comes to my mind when you ask me that question is understanding the community. What is a community? The community is me. So it gives me such a great honor to serve my community. The community is the origin of that locality. So when I'm growing up, we have culture. So when we are in this gem industry, we come and we find people who are already there doing what we are doing right today. So when we are growing up, we are taught in my African culture of giving back. So giving back to the community or giving back to the earth, which is producing good things for us, is a key thing. So it's make it easier for me when I'm working with this now, my community, because I know what are the do's and what are not the don'ts. So it's so very easy. The community comes in here is your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, your neighbors, every child being brought in that place, even before they become adults, they are taken care of by all that whole group. And that is a group which we call the community, the origins of that location. So it's so easy because the community, we have a thing called Ubuntu. It's bringing all of us together. So when you mention about the government, whenever we need help from the government itself is our community, the regional, the local, the national, and it is driven or it's helped us using the manual book of a constitution or the laws which have been put in the law of the land. And for me, I can say with our project which we have been doing, since we know the principles of doing that, it has really been, our government and the whole local community has really been supportive on that. And one thing I can say, today, the Kamtonga project is self-sustained because the first thing we realize is to give back this project to the community. So it's fully handled and received by the community, so they are able to take care of it in that level and in that standard.
I have to say that I have been to Kamtonga and I've seen the involvement of the community, and it's absolutely amazing. Jean-Luc, if you'd like to weigh in on that.
Yes. So, of course, community involvement is essential for the success of all projects that we do and that we carry on. In Mozambique, for instance, we have started by understanding the community, and we carried out a very important baseline study to understand who is the community and the different religions, the different habits, and most importantly, the expectations. Because what we realized is that no project that is not carried out with the community involvement is meant to succeed. They actually almost always fail. We think that local projects are owned by the community. We help them set it up. We help them run the project, but there's no sustainability in these projects if the community doesn't feel the ownership. So once the baseline study was done, we then created local advisory groups with whom we consult very often to understand if once the projects are started, they comply with their expectations. We help them managing, we train people to run the projects, and we try to ensure that there's an economic resilience related to all these projects, and that, most importantly, they can survive without us. Because we know that one day we're not going to be there, and we expect communities to benefit from what we are doing in the long term. We're just there for a limited amount of time. So aside from what is important, creating local jobs, what we're really leaving as a testimony to our commitment is all the activities that are left and that can continue.
Brian, anything to add on that, or?
I became part of the community, my wife and I. I happened into this region back in 1983. It was quite remote, still remote. But at that time, I've been involved since then, so it was easy for me to visualize, I want to give back. I've been going there since then. We're property owners. I'm a claim owner. I've been through all the processes. So I became part of the community, and essentially, you know, you make friends with the local mayor, etc., and they all become partners, working with the civil society, especially the miners and the families. It's key, it's essential to work with the community. And yeah, of course.
I I really liked what you all said, but I really liked what you said, Gianluca, because you mentioned two things that are so important. One is baseline. And you described it also, Mimo. It's you can't just show up and do something. You really have to make sure that you are going to build what is needed. And so the idea of a baseline of understanding what the needs are is really crucial. And second, also such an excellent point. Those projects, those sustainable projects, need to be sustainable. So they need to survive on their own if the brand or the company or the NGO changes focus in a couple of years. So I just thought that were very, very good points.
And I would like to point out that each and every one of you here have different aspirations. You believe in sustainability, but I don't think everyone here will be able to go on the ground, drill a borehole, work with the community engagement, plant, teach people how to do agriculture, work with the students. But I want you to remember that as part of the ICA, as part of the industry, ICA and its members are doing this. And whether you have hands on that individual project, you're supporting that project. You're supporting it with your dues, you're supporting with your support, you're supporting by talking to your customers and sharing with them the things that are being done. We cannot all do every project together, but we need to understand that this is a joint effort. When I see the work that Brian does and Gianluca does and Mimo and Johanna, I feel so good about that. I feel like I own it. Okay? I mean, I have been there on the ground working with the students and things like that, but I feel that because I'm ICA, I'm part of it. And so we need to understand the work that people are doing and take ownership and share it with our customers and talk to them. And Brian makes out a particular point. Don't think about sustainability as this great big whole world. Pick something you like. Okay, pick something you can feel good about, which leads to the next question. The work that most of the sustainability work doing in our industry is aligned with the United Nations millennial goals. And that has to do with child labor, it has to do with the ecology, it has to do with diversity of the workforce, it has to do with a number of different issues, providing clean water, providing education. And I'm sure each of your projects focus a little more. So if you tell me a little bit about for instance, Brian, what you're doing, is it your focus on health? Is it water? Is it, the marine plant life? Is it?
Funny you should ask. I happen to have a list of the SDGs that we can touch upon with the full project. The project that I visualize touches on many of the social development goals that is going to benefit all of us. But we're starting at the baseline, which is we helped formalize the garimpeiros. It's still a lot of miners that are not formalized. Where we work, there's anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 miners, depending on season or what time's going on. It's a pretty vast area. It's a mountain range. But I was able to formalize as the first person to be able to do that. That opened the doors for the other locals. Convincing miners to change is not easy. They don't trust what you're saying. They don't believe what you're doing. There's a problem. You're tricking us. But, I had to explain, no, this is the way of the future. You're going to want to formalize so you can get into the system. I held meetings where the miners would come. It was very lively discussions, but I had to, that was the first step. And now we're involved through Gems Keep Giving, the safety, health and safety. So we're providing protective gear to prevent silicosis. Very interesting. So that, the health and safety, that's number 3 in the social development goals. Number 2 on the list of social development goals would be food security, because my plan is to parallel to mining, let's grow food. Not only grow food, but good food. Nutrient dense, using regenerative agriculture techniques. For education, we will use the regenerative agriculture as a science course, science curriculum, connect it with the high school on a small plot of land. A hectare or 2 is all you need. So that's education. Number 8, decent work, economic growth, and that's the part where we want to begin a lapidary academy. We can use the materials right there. The low-grade materials, there's an instant market for tumble stones. We can evolve into cut stones. This creates opportunity for economic growth, entrepreneurship with the help of SEBRAE. We have the support of the local mayor's office. Number 13, climate action. So doing regenerative agriculture, along with these artisanal mining communities, we are teaching about not just how to grow good food, but the system is about putting carbon back into the soil. So you're sequestering carbon. It's on a tiny scale, but sequestering carbon through agriculture is going to be one of the main ways that we combat climate crisis in the future. So if we teach at a very small scale, it's already getting into the minds of the young people. Number 5, gender equality, entrepreneurs. That's through giving opportunity for the women to sell their stones, maybe at a more fair price, but also the opportunity to convert it into products. And so those are the SDGs that we can touch upon if we do the full project.
John, I know that you and GI are very involved in these kinds of projects, and it's probably diverse, but why don't you tell us a little bit about those UN goals that you seem to be focusing on and developing?
So the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, have a particular connection to Brazil. So bravo, Brazil, because those are pretty extraordinary. So the idea was created in 2012 in the Rio +20 UN meeting, and they were achieved 2015, I think. And a driving force was actually Paola Caballero from Colombia. So Brazil and Colombia are really at the origin of the Sustainable Development Goals. And they're not perfect. We're talking about 17 goals that really target organizations, NGOs, for-profit, governments, and 200 indicators. So it's not just about, let's say, gender equality. One indicator is percentage of women in governments, like federal and governments. Hunger, and then there is an indicator about hunger in children. So all those 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are cover hunger, poverty, gender equality, climate change, water, education, so cover peace, of course, and are divided into indicators. And they're a very, very good approach. So as you mentioned, if you want to start sustainability, you can just take a look at the Sustainable Development Goals, take a look at the indicators, and see which one you can further work on, knowing that the COVID crisis really pushed back the progress. Today, only 17% of the goals are on track, and the ones that are really not on track are poverty, hunger, water, climate change, and peace. So let's work on those. No, it's not on track. Those are the ones that are not on track.
Can I add something?
Yes, certainly.
I'd like to add something when it comes to the goals. I know in ICA, when we are starting this, I believe the Kamtonga was the first project which we can say it's a successful project. We have something as ICA members, something very good, tangible to feel good with. And when we started this, we set some goals that we are taking ICA to these communities. And what we did, we requested by the ICA if we could brand ourselves, like we could brand ICA in whatever project we do, can we brand that? And I know all of you are seeing the kids with the t-shirts written ICA. And most of you, you wonder, are these ICA kids or what it is? But this is the donation which we gave as ICA. So this is something good. Whenever you see that smile of that child, the reason we did that is we like to do clothing. Most of these kids, when you come to the bush or to the mines, the mining areas, they are tattered, they don't have clothes. So I remember that time we asked if we could be allowed to do this when we are giving our donation in clothing, if we could brand ICA, because we are ICA members and we felt it was good for us to give back to the community. So we ought everything which we give, like if it's clothing, we brand it as ICA, and if it's shoes, I remember my husband and I myself, we gave about 1,000 shoes and we had to brand all of them ICA. So all those kids are growing up asking, we want to become ICA members, and they have no clue of what it is. So you can see how much education we are doing right there. Today, or maybe after, they will be somewhere trying to watch on online on this Congress to see who the ICA people are and who are receiving them and who have helped, because this is because of the Gems Keep Giving through the ICA has been able to make a child smile and make a child clothed.
Yes. I think the question in people's minds again, how do I get involved in this? I can't change the world. I can't go to Africa. My customers can't. But we need to develop a dialogue to where we can share with our customers how they can share with their customers what they're doing. Many customers come in the store. They're not necessarily asking questions about sustainability, but they have those questions there. And it can be a very powerful tool in sales if you bring that question to the fore and let them know what you're doing. They don't want the details of how many gallons of water you get through your water program every single day or how many trees you're planting, although that is of interest. They want to know something that tells them, I can feel good about buying this product. Okay, I can feel good. I love jewelry, I love gemstones, but I want to know that I'm also buying a product that is not harming, in fact, helping another community. We're halfway through, and I'm sure there are many comments that we will discuss with the panel here. But I like to get started early on engaging the audience. So most of you know each of these individuals and specifically what they're involved in. So I would encourage you now, if you have questions, let's bring them to the fore. Let's see what kind of questions we can generate here. Okay? Amira, wait until you get your microphone.
Miriam, can I have those ICA clothes too? Just for souvenirs.
I will have to say yes.
Thank you. That's about it.
I think you have to go to Africa to get them, though, right? You have to go.
It's really a rewarding consideration. Pearl?
Hi, I just want to say how incredible it was because I went to Kim Tonga myself to join Doug and Mimo. And as a jeweler, it gives me goosebumps because it really, it's such a different thing when you see as a first person to be able to tell that story to an actual customer. And the efforts of Gems Keep Giving, the effort that Mimo and Evan has put in, it's made a huge difference in our community and how we view mining is going to change over time because that message will get to our customers. And it is all of our responsibility in this room to kind of push that agenda forward. And not only on the back end, but also bring it to the front and tell those stories. And we all need people like Mimo and Evan to actually be on the ground and make it happen and make it sustainable, but also self-sufficient, that they can walk away and they're functioning. They're building communities and water's working, and they're able to bottle the water and sell to the hotels. So in a way, it enriches not only in the first step, but then it continues and it keeps folding out. So thank you for your wonderful work.
I have a question.
Oh. That was God.
Well, you know, we're in Brazil, and what I've heard through the panels and such is that Brazil stands at the moment of a great opportunity. And my question is, how can we find more projects to do to help the artisanal mining community here in Brazil to get to be able to have projects and show the world that it can be done correctly? Because I know it is the way of the future. We have to create the stories, and it's not easy to create the stories. It takes a lot of work to get that project, just one project, up and running. But so the question is, how can Brazil participate from the level of ANM, the government, combining with the expertise of the people already in Brazil doing great work, Marcelo, Sebastião, Paraíba. I mean, there's great examples, but how can we dial that down into a simple format, simpler? I would say if we could fast track the process to help the miners become legal, especially the small ones, the really, really small miners that can supply the variety of gems that the world wants and the Brazilian designers and jewelers are looking for. They're going abroad to import stones to make their jewelry. So how can we speed up the process? I know government process is very slow. It's not up to speed with the speed of the world today. So think about how you can create a system or a process maybe tailored for the artisanal mining community of Brazil. I guess that's a question and a comment.
Okay, are there questions from the audience? These guys have a wealth of experience and knowledge. Berna.
So we have all veterans from the industry here, but if there is a designer who's just getting started off or somebody who's just entered the industry, how can they adapt to ethical practices and sustainability? What are the simple steps that they can take to become a part of that?
I give my perspective. I think the first thing is to audit and ensure that your supply chain makes sense. Basically, check all the steps of the supply chain from the source of origin and the origin of the gemstones throughout yourself, the designer. And I think that that's the most important. I would see that as a very important step, because you need to build your design project on transparency and traceability. And then you can start to tackle all the other things. So how beneficial the whole supply chain is to communities and to the rest of the industry. But I would personally think that that part of so ensuring the supply chain is the most important thing.
I absolutely, I was just thinking, ask questions. It's as simple as asking questions. Where does that come from? How long have you worked with those persons? And then after that, you can start by asking questions, and then due diligence, and then remediation. But it really can just start by asking questions and being interested in your supply chain.
Yeah, I think it's important for you to understand that know your supplier, okay? You need to get to know these people. And there are certain things that you can ask as you know, you're working at a trade show and you're learning new suppliers. You want to be able to work with suppliers you trust. And I'd say ICA is a good place to start with a supplier that you can trust and feel comfortable with. But you need to ask questions, okay? Where are you from? Tell me about your workplace. Do you have your employees? Who works for you? These kinds of questions, especially the way to answer them, can give you a lot of confidence. We're going to talk about how you can promote your ICA membership as a validation of the efforts you're making in sustainability. And we'll also talk about Gems Keep Giving, what you can do there, because we're going to discuss Gems Keep Giving right after this segment. And there will be, just so that everyone understands, there will be an ask in that presentation, okay? I saw a question in the back.
I have one right here.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, my name is Lorianne. I do have a question. I think a lot of more people than we think want to start projects, want to have dreams, have important projects at heart. But my question would be, how do you get the investment? How do you get the financial aid? How do you start that project when you are not already at the top? Because I think a lot of people have projects at heart, but do not have the financial aid to start it. So where do you start? How do you try and start a project like that to help people and the mining business?
I'm going to speak to that just for a bit, and then I think, Shauna, Gems Keep Giving, we will talk about. Gems Keep Giving is an effort to bring together resources from our industry, money, and look at projects that warrant that money. We are not USAID. We're not the World Bank. We probably have more money than USAID right now, but the point is that if you have a valuable project, you have some information that's sitting at your table that will help you say, if I have a valuable project, I would like to contribute in, but I would like to get financial support. It'll take you to the website and tell you how to fill out the project proposal, okay, for your particular country and issue. And then that is viewed by the Gems Keep Giving board to see if it's worthy, just the way Brian filled out his proposal for silicosis. I'm sorry, Joanna, you might want to.
So I've been doing sustainability for a long time, and things have changed, but not fast enough. And so one of the things that I try to do all the time is not reinventing the wheel, because we don't have the time and we don't have the resources. So to answer your question, there are already a lot of projects. There are already a lot of very good organizations. And my recommendation is always doing your due diligence on the existing projects, because maybe there is one that is like something that you have in mind or very adjacent. And instead of restarting an entire project from scratch, which is very complicated, maybe you can build on something that is existing through MIMO, through Gems Keep Giving, through ARM, through PACT, through Responsible Gold. There are so many. So instead of thinking recreation, maybe thinking due diligence analysis, and then like adjacency. I think it's better.
I think I saw a question over here.
I had a
Okay,
question.
in the second row. I can't really see. I see an arm up. That gentleman right there. And then we'll get to this gentleman in the front row.
I'll just sneak in from the back corner here with a question that follows up from Lorianne. Basically, my question was, we have two amazing examples of projects that have gone really, really well, either because there was substantial backing from ICA or Brian just pushing for 40 years to get it all together. But what is the main obstacle, the main hindrance that people face when setting up a project like this? Is it lack of funds, or are there other problems that you face when setting up projects to support sustainable or environmental practices?
I will let Mimo speak to her project and things, but I'll tell you basically what we have seen, Wim, is that you need to have finances. You need to have some money. It is all the money in the world will not benefit you if you don't have people in the community with the expertise to oversee these things. And I'm not talking about mining engineers or anything else. I'm talking about people who are dealers that work with the community, that understand and are going to say, this is the project. And by the way, I live in the community. You've got to have community support. Otherwise, you're coming in, you're giving some people some money and you're walking away. And that's a big, big leap of faith. So I think the big thing is having a project that the community is part of, not just an ask for money, but how's it going to benefit the community? Who in the community is going to continue to be involved, and what is the sustainability of that project?
I can say that in very few words. My answer will be like, the help is in the help. If you get the right information, all you need is the correct information. And know that the help which you are looking for, the help which you need is in that help, that right help.
Questions? Gentleman over here.
Hi, it's Arun Jain. So I just want to speak to you all that we all know I've been going to the many mines around the world, and what I see with all small artisanal mining and all these people, the biggest thing we are missing is the unity among the people. So every miner, he just thinks of himself, or he want to just see how he can make his profit. There should be some kind of education, some kind of system, some kind of, which I think even the ICA as a responsible organization should do something about it. And basically, I would also let you know that all the members of the ICA, whether it's coming from India, whether it's coming from China, from America, from anywhere, we all have to give a kind of input to make sure that every project is going to be a sustainable project. Most important is that when we meet the people, and when I meet the people, when I see in ICA, we have to bring a basic awareness with the people, which I feel that a lot of people who are not there in the ICA now, or who are there as a member, but they don't want to give their time or something, which I feel has to be done very importantly to make sure that the coming years and the projects and the mines, wherever we go, they try to become more sustainable, and it can become with the unity, with more education, with more awareness, and also the people who are more capable around the world, whether it's a jeweler, whether it's a manufacturer, whether it's a miner, they all have to come together to make sure that the things can be done in a very proper way. So that's my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, if we can have one more question from the gentleman in the front row.
Well, thank you. My name is Oscar Vaquero, and I'm coming from Colombia. And it's not a question, it's just I want to share an experience that we have about that thing. We work together with the government, and we create a fund. The fund is, we pay 1% of the exportation of emeralds, and in that fund we collect. It's not a lot of money, but we work together with the government. So we create different laws to promote environmentally responsibility and ethical practices. And we work with the community, and we ask to the community what they want. So right now we are changing our regulation. So the regulation in Colombia, they take care about the size of the enterprises. I mean, we got medium-sized enterprises that make the minimum, but we had a lot of artisanal miners that they are asking right now to the government more infrastructure to create new opportunities of jobs in agriculture or some other activities. And we work together with the university, and they design planes to, for example, teach how to cut the stones or how to trade the stones, and even make jewelry inside of the regions, for example, in Muso or in some other places, and to promote to visit, I mean, ¿cómo se dice? To promote the people go for vacation, for example, to Muso, and the local people can buy jewelry and transform the products. So we invest too in to create new schools and infrastructure in help, I mean, hospitals. So that's the way we do it in Colombia, and the result has no increasing that we want, but the way that we can find the money to do that thing is create the fund. So probably it's a good idea for here in Brazil or some other countries in developed ways, is to create a fund paid by the industry, and then you can show the results here in different in the EICA, or probably in OCDE, or probably in different countries or different organizations. Thank you very much.
All right, I am sorry to say that we're running out of time, but we're going to move into our presentation on Gems Keep Giving and the projects that we've worked on at this point. One thing I would like to encourage you to do is we will be having another Congress in 2 years. There's going to be other special events with CIBJO, and I would like to see that our next event, we have more solutions, more progress on the table. Every comment that you have made, for instance, what you're doing in Colombia, I wish if you could put together an outline of what you're doing in positive, send it to me, send it to the members of the panel here so that we have ideas. We're looking, it's very hard to find money for projects, but it's really hard to find projects that are worthy of what we need to do and have the people and the resources. So both of those things we can use. All right? I'd like to thank everyone on the panel. Thank you very much. And thank you for your questions, and thank you for your patience.